And welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. Now, I took some advice for today's video, and a lot of people said just get back to talking about Pokemon. There's been a lot of drama lately. And for this video, I'm going to let the chat decide where this conversation goes. If the chat decides to just keep it all Pokemon, we'll keep it all Pokemon. If the chat decides to make it drama, we're going to talk about the drama. So, I think a lot of people say I'm making the drama content, so this is only drama I'm going to address. If the chat decides to ask questions, things will be answered. So, with that said, if the chat keeps it all Pokemon related and there's no drama questions, there'll be no drama talked about. So, I think that's a fair compromise for a lot of people. So, I just did it very broad, live Pokemon Q&A. That's the title of this video. That's what we're going to do. We're just going to talk Pokemon, ask your questions, I'll answer them. My goal is to shoot for 30 minutes. I don't know how many times I've said my goal is to shoot for 30 minutes on a live. Sometimes that happens. Very, very rarely does it happen, but that's my goal. But yeah, as always, guys, appreciate every single one of you guys coming in. And I see Namp90 down in the chat right now. If you guys don't know who Namp90 is, you really got to follow him on Instagram because he does a great job of highlighting cards. Not only does he highlight all the chase cards or the big hitters, he highlights the commons and the uncommons, and he really gives you an ability to appreciate the artwork. So definitely recommend giving him a follow. I see we got Pokemon Collector. He said, Hola PK, I'm going to be shipping 20 of my PSA 10 Japanese vintage cards to Z&G Emporium with your name down for a reference. Is it really that easy? Just ship cards to his address with my name and email. Yeah, pretty much. So if you guys don't know, down in the description of this video below is Z&G Emporium. This video is not sponsored in any way by them, but if you do send cards to them and write on a piece of paper and put it in with your package that I referred you, I will get a little referral. But yeah, it's pretty simple. But I do recommend down in the description is also James's email. I would just shoot him an email being like, hey, FYI, you're going to be receiving these 20 cards at some point. Here's the tracking number. So if anything happens, at least he'll have your tracking number. He'll be able to see if they got delivered and stuff like that. But yeah, there's not really much you got to do. And it's a nice service. So it's funny you mentioned Z&G because recently, as in the last 2-3 days, I got my first ever Beckett submission back. And if you guys don't know, Z&G, you can send cards to them for consignment, but ungraded cards. So they still have to be in a penny sleeve. They still have to be in a Card Saver 1. And you could choose if you want to send it to CGC, PSA, or Beckett. And I send all my own cards to PSA. I don't send any cards to CGC. And I don't send cards to Beckett because don't have an account, not familiar with it. Honestly, probably something I should be doing, but have never done it. So, I've always wanted to go after the Black Label hunt. I did send some cards to James. Sent, believe 34 cards in total. 24 of the 34 hit Gem Mint. So, Gem Mint at Beckett is 9.5 or higher. Out of those 24 that hit 9.5 or higher, only 9 of them hit 10s with a whopping 0 Black Labels. 0. So because the cards I sent, I'm probably, and I don't mean, I'm going to lose money on this submission because they were lower dollar amount cards. A lot of SV001 promos, Chinese promos, cards that only sell for a $30 and a 10. But my whole goal was to get the Black Label. And I looked at it very easily. I was like, I only need to get 2 Black Labels to make this entire submission fantastic. And I took a card. I was like, okay, all these cards came from the same batch that I sent the PSA. So for a little reference for you, I sent a same batch of those same cards that came from the same seller. I sent 16 of them. I didn't really do much pre-grading on them. The 16 I sent the PSA, I got 16 out of 16 PSA 10. So I was like, if 2 of these could hit Black Labels, this is going to be great. None of them hit Black Labels. And see that? People are always like, oh, PK never talks about his failures. That was a failure right there. So, but yeah, pretty shitty submission. But that's one of, I believe, four. And then all the other submissions I sent him were, again, low value cards, all, near mint plus condition, all cards that I think have a shot at a black label, and then the remaining of my submission. So this was pretty much all Pikachus. I threw a couple Gengars in from Old Maids. None of them hit 10s. None of them hit black labels. Beckett's tough. I found that out the hard way. This is my first submission. But my next submission have all Charizards in it, or big fan favorite Pokemon. So I'm hoping like some of my Charizards hit 10s. And if my Charizards could hit 10s, it'll be a payday. But I think the last submission I sent to Z&G for the Black Label Hunt, I believe it's my third or my fourth one I sent him, was 25 of the same exact Charizard card, to like put it into perspective for you. All super near mint, all great quality, but we'll see now. It's all about the Black Label Hunt, and this will be like a good learning for me. And when I get all that data, whenever it comes, and when I get all my pack grading data, I still have packs up at auction. These have been going on now for closer to 5 weeks, all the graded packs I submitted through Z&G. So hopefully I'm going to have a big data set, or maybe not big subjective, but like 100 plus cards sent to him for the Beckett Black Label play, 130 plus packs sent for the graded pack submission play, and we'll see what happens. And now I'm already starting to hear like whispers that maybe PSA is getting easier on their pack grading standards, and it's like, come on, really? I just got destroyed on pack grading standards, so now they might be like easing up, but we'll see. Let's see. We got Terry Lake in the chat. He says, who's all in here tonight? We got Mr. Locknet said, how many clowns waiting right now? Number one mod in the game, Drew. Good to see you, my friend. Christopher said, what up? Yamamoto said, finally caught one. Good to see you, buddy. Pork Shoulder said, yo. Shadow Matt, hey, PK. Quate from Compton said, hello, PK. Happy evening. I'm currently finishing up at work, so we'll be listening in. Appreciate that. Quate from Compton, he's hopped into the Rattle lives we've done a few times, like the Rattle Happy Hour chats, and he's always opening up cool stuff. He has, like, Quate, you can let us know, but you've had some, like, okay luck. I wouldn't say you've had any, like, crazy luck, but you've definitely opened up some fire. Fat Belly Collect says, why is your goal 30 minutes? We all want you to go longer. You're the only one who wants 30 minutes. I've had a lot of people tell me that, like, I go too long, and I think, like, the shorter form content definitely is more YouTube algorithm friendly, that's for sure. Professor Oak said, question, would you ever do a live going over the best YouTuber takes you think nailed it lately? Would you ever do a live going over the best YouTuber takes? Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't probably do like a video around it because I think that involves like pretty decent amount of research, Professor Oak, but I think it would be cool if somebody could put that together. I mean, there's definitely been some good takes recently. Like, I've had a couple good takes. I think one of my better takes was talking about the Squirtle Pokemon Center stamp promo. I talked about that I talked about that Pokemon Center stamped Squirtle when it was announced from the Pokemon Center during pre-orders. I talked about it before stuff was shipped. Then when prices were around $40, I talked about them again. And then prices went up crazy. They've retraced a little bit, but retracing very subjective. Those are very expensive cards still. And I still haven't sold my Pokemon Center stamped Squirtle promos. I'm just interested to see how that market plays out. I've been interested. And, like, that's a card that I actually, looking back on it, hindsight being 2020, I do wish I picked up a bunch of them at the $40 mark, but it was just a little speculative for me. I was like wondering if maybe we'd get a reprint of those. Same way with Pikachu and Gray Felt Hat. Like, I still have all my Pikachus in Gray Felt Hat. I got 5 of them. I only got 5 of them. Still haven't done anything with them because that's a card that I was watching the market, and I'm just like, okay, this card has the ability to pop if no more hit the market, and I've just been watching, and those Pikachu and Gray Felt Hat promos, you know, when the mass supply of them were out, the lowest we saw that card ever retrace was between $50 to $75, and then we saw pretty strong sales of that at $100, and now, because the supply is slowly starting to be eaten up, we're seeing prices start ticking up more and more and more. And I've been really waiting because I have, out of my 5 promos, I have one of them that I think is a decent shot of a 10. The only problem is they all have that little corner ding. And I've been reaching out to a lot of people who have graded 10s, and it looks like a lot of them have the same corner issues I've had. So, but yeah. Juice. Yeah. Jade Rabbit says another live quickly. Yeah, I mean, try to give a little bit of notice. Usually, there was a while when I was doing lives, it was just, all right, I got time to go live, so I'm gonna hit go live and start talking. But I've been trying to do like 5, 10, 15 minute warning for a lot of people. I think it's important for a lot of people to just understand that I got a family and stuff, and I put my kid to bed every night. Like, I'm the kind of dad, like, he's young, he's only 2, so he's in a toddler bed, but if you leave him alone in his room, he'll get out of the toddler bed and then like walk into the living room where me and my wife are, and then it's like, okay, got to bring him back in. So I have to lay on the floor with him. So while I lay with him on the floor, I got the blanket over my head while he's sleeping in the bed or trying to fall asleep. I make my thumbnail, and then whenever he falls asleep, I will set a couple things up and then go live. Like, there's very, very little setup to what I do, and yeah, that's kind of why it's last second. It kind of just depends on what I'm doing that night. So, Son of a Merc said, did you enjoy Cardinal speculation video today? I did not get a chance to watch Mason's latest video, but was it good though? What was his speculation? I saw like the premise of it. I saw the thumbnail, kind of just guessing next set, so I'm guessing he was talking about Shining Treasures. And yeah, I'd be interested to see what Mason's takes are. Kevin Clear says, have you ever looked on the dark web for Pokemon cards? Have I ever gone the Silk Road route looking for Pokemon cards? I have not. But back in the days when Bitcoin was still in its infancy, I wonder how many Pokemon cards you could have bought on the Silk Road. No, I think the shadiest I get when it comes to dark web is maybe buying from eBay sellers with like 0 feedback. I think about that's as dark as I get, or maybe like the occasional sketchy buy listing. But I don't ever really buy off buy, to be honest with you, because one, I'm not really a big Japanese card collector to begin with, but number two, there's just too many like potentials to get scammed, and then obviously the ones you're not going to get scammed on are pretty obvious, but the problem is you're also going to probably pay for a premium for those. Fat Belly Collects says, question, do you think buying the chase cards of the set or the booster box will hold or grow more if they are the same price today? That's a good question. So I guess what you're saying is, like, I'll give you an example. So Lost Origin, I talked about Lost Origin like a couple videos back. You know, it's funny because I talked about Lost Origin and just what Danny Phantom was talking about at 1:30. So in that video, I actually, if you listen closely to my words, I never use the words that I think Lost Origin booster boxes is a bad buy at 1:30. You got to go back and watch that video. All I'm doing is just like talking about his point, but I never use the words, and I actually in that video go out of my way to say I think all Sword and Shield booster boxes under $200 are undervalued, and then I also mention a video that I made talking about that. But I don't think Lost Origins is a bad buy at 1:30, and I think that's where maybe sometimes words can get taken out of context, even when I go out of the way to like say I believe all Sword and Shield booster boxes under $200 are undervalued. But that's a good example of a card that you got booster boxes selling for around 130, and then you could pick up like, what is the Garantina currently selling for? Is it around 130? I know the Aerodactyl is not 130, but it's probably around $100. It's been so long. I don't really pick up these modern chase cards, but in a hypothetical where you could pick up Lost Origin booster boxes at 130, you could pick up that Garantina V for 130. You know, when you look at those two cards, the question is, well, which one's the better buy? It's tough. I guess I'd probably go the seal booster box route, to be honest with you, because and I think it would go by set basis. I would have to look at every set and look at every card in that set. is that a strong set where I think that in the future, the cards in that set will help drive up the value of that booster box a little bit more? Or do I think that the cards in the booster box is going to hold it down a little bit more? And I think where that really depends on is modern, because if you guys have heard me say, I've said it pretty recently, I think that like scarcity like will always outweigh just like popularity in a way. So you can say that about a lot of sets, be like, well, price of cards don't matter when it comes to the price of the sealed product. Look at something like Emergent Powers. Emergent Powers has the Tornadus in it, you know, it has the Thunderous in it. What else does it have as a chase card? That booster box is greater than $1,000. And I think that that's more on the scarcity aspect for vintage sale product. So that's where I think that scarcity outweighs popularity, because that booster box as itself is very scarce. But when you talk about modern stuff, and I look at like in reality, like no modern booster boxes are really that scarce. So then that's where I start to look now at popularity, because at that point, they're all on the same playing field. There's really not much scarcity to modern, but then you could even make the difference. And here's a perfect example. Even in modern, if you do have a scarcity factor of it, it's going to carry products, because I do believe scarcity outweighs popularity. In modern, there are good examples of that. And a great example of where scarcity outweighs popularity is you look at what is the most expensive like main expansion ETB. Well, it's Rebel Clash. Is that a popularity or is that a scarcity thing? When it comes to modern, it's a scarcity over popularity, because there's a way more popular sets than Rebel Clash, but yet that ETB is the most expensive because of the scarcity factor. But then when I look at sets like Lost Origin, you know, Brilliant Stars, Astro Radiance, Fusion Strike, Chill and Rain, I start to lump those more together, because at that point I feel like they're all on the same playing field where there's not really a scarcity factor to any of those products. So then when I say, okay, in my opinion, like the scarcity of a Chill and Rain or Fusion Strike or Battle Styles or Lost Origin, then I start to look at it as being very negligible. Like, I don't really see it, because it's just very negligible, like I said. But I see it for maybe more call it more vintage Sword and Shield product, where I can see like where that scarcity is really going to actually matter. So then I'll look at the set and I'll say, well, now which booster box and which set has the most popularity? And for a lot of the sets and, you know, a lot of the chases, I would say that Lost Origin is definitely one of the most popular sets. So I would probably go for the sealed product with that. But then, like, now let's fast forward a little bit into Scarlet and Violet, where now Scarlet and Violet is, you know, you look at an $80 booster box. Do I look at the chase from an $80 booster box being $80 or the sealed product? And it's probably still going to be the sealed product at that route. I don't think there's many times where I like the chase above the product. I think probably like maybe the only one that I would make a little bit of a argument towards would be potentially like the Moonbreon. So Moonbreon selling raw, probably right around $400, like the same price as that booster box, because the PSA 10 Moonbreon is selling for about $750. I sold a Moonbreon on consignment at Charlotte Collecticon for $800. Wait, was it 800 or 900? No, 900? Fuck, I don't even remember. If PokeKids out there, PokeKid, what did I sell your Moonbreon for? But yeah, like in a PSA 10, they're more expensive. But when it comes to like the raw versus the sealed, that's where like maybe picking up a Moonbreon at the same price of the sealed Evolving Skies booster box, like I'm actually leaning towards the Moonbreon. That's like the only card that I would sort of lean towards for the raw card opposed to the sealed product. But it's a great question, and it really like it gives you a lot to think about. And I don't know if I have like a perfect answer. It's going to be a set-by-set basis. Terry Lake said, hey, still waiting on your vid for your sealed pack play. I still got sealed packs up at auction for Z&G even this week. Once all the sealed packs are done, you will get that video. And I'm still kind of curious like what the final numbers are going to be as well. If you guys could hear it, my breathing is still terrible from RSV that I had weeks ago. It just, man, what a thing. Totally beat me up. That's why there was like that whole week window where I didn't make any videos. Then I could still feel it like when I'm breathing real deep. Big G Collect says, any thoughts on these TikTok deals? Able to get booster boxes at sub $80. You can do it. Go for it. Like, that's a great deal. Like, it's clear what TikTok's doing. It's not the sellers, obviously, giving you those great deals. It's the kickback that TikTok, the actual corporation, is doing to get people to join their platform. And I've heard of things as recently as shout out to Josh, the old card shop. I think he mentioned the other day that you could pick up Celebration UPCs for $69 with the TikTok deal. $69 for a Celebration... I said Celebrations. I meant Pokemon 151. I'm sorry. But $69 for a 151 UPC, that's a great deal. Like, what is that? $70. You get 16 packs. You get the gold card. Sure, those promos are only worth like $5 and $2. Like, they're probably combined $7 for the 2 promos in there, but the metal one, is still $3. But then you still get all the packs. You still get that product itself. Like, if you can pick up $69, 151 UPCs, go for it. Like, they're probably going to be the best deals you get. And then when it comes to, like, booster boxes, especially if it's, like, some of the more hot booster boxes, so I'm talking, like, Sword and Shield era booster boxes, maybe not so much, like, Scarlet and Violet era booster boxes, if you can get them for, like, super cheap prices, you're instantly in the profits. Like, instantly. Because you've already bought, like, so substantially below current market prices. And a lot of this Sword and Shield stuff is just not going to get reprinted. So to sit on a lot of this stuff and pick it up cheap, it's probably going to do pretty well. Like, that's when you got to look at your upside versus your downside risks. And picking up Sword and Shield era booster boxes, if you can, at $80 right now with, being so heavily focused in Scarlet and Violet, you have great upside to those. So Nathan Chaos Gaming said, hey PK, I don't know if you remember, but we talked in Discord about my Team Rocket Returns Moltres. I sent it to PWCC and I'll keep you updated. Yeah, man, I hope you do very well. That's Team Rocket Returns is just an overall freaking awesome set. That Moltres is one of the highlights of that set. All the gold stars highlights, like Snorlax is a great card in that set. Articuno is a great card in that set. The Zapdos from EX Team Rocket Returns, freaking badass. The T-Tar's badass. Like, Team Rocket Returns, just top to bottom, is just full. It's like every holo's a banger. Every EX is a banger. The gold stars are bangers, especially because when you start to look at rarity too, and like how hard some of these things are graded, and you start to look at like the Torchic, and you look at what the Torchic's selling for in a PSA 10. Super low population, super tough card to grade, but Team Rocket Returns, just solid. Plus, with the reverse solos, all the stamp cards, like, solid. Even the box topper, the Charmeleon from EX Team Rocket Returns, that's a mean Charmeleon. It's probably this Charmeleon right here. The one that Rattle sent me. That's the Charmeleon, that's the box topper. But, yeah, EX Team Rocket Returns is a awesome set, man. But, yeah, Nathan, let me know how you make out with that card. Andreas Christopher said, do you believe that there is an opportunity to pick up vintage holos now, or would you rather focus on modern singles train? There's definitely opportunities to pick up vintage cards at this point, and there's definitely opportunities to pick up modern singles, but, it's just going to all be about price points. Like, if you can find those good deals, sit and wait for auction. Like, right now in the hobby, especially in the market, like, we're seeing, like, maybe not crazy downturns, but we're definitely seeing, like, 30% on some of these cards. And if you can pick them up cheap and you can find good buying opportunities, good entry points, especially, like, for stuff that you personally know is very rare, and if you believe in the fundamentals of that card, like, go for it. And, worst case scenario, you own something that is very rare, very hard to normally source. Like, especially some of this vintage stuff, like, to source it raw, you might not really ever get a chance to source some of this stuff raw, especially in a high grade. Now, sourcing raw stuff, like, in light play or damage condition, you can source those cards all day. But actual true like near mint plus cards, so we're talking PSA 8, PSA 9, depending on the card, PSA 8, but really focus on PSA 9s, 10s for some of these vintage stuff that is, one, just not easily sourceable. It's going to be really hard for you to pick up. If you want to like pick up some of those cards, yeah, you got great opportunity. Now for this modern stuff, again, it's super subjective, but you got to look at the modern cards and say, this modern card, will I have another opportunity to pick this up in the future? And if your answer is to that modern card, yeah, you'll probably have your opportunities in the future to pick it up again, then I would say you could probably wait on that. But if it's a modern card, something that is relatively tough to grade, it's right at release, market's super saturated, you feel that maybe that modern card is at its all-time low, there's a lot of that, I'll give you there's a lot. There's a lot of cards recently in Modern that I've actually started to see little tick-ups because just even though those cards might not be inherently rare, just the availability of those cards to source them raw right now is really low, especially when you go looking on TCG Player. Some of these ultra-modern cards have like quantities in less than 30, 40. And for some people out there, 30 or 40 of a card might sound like a lot, but it doesn't take much to like buy up all available supply. And because Modern is so, in a little way, like that market is kind of fickle, like it's easily like, you can really sway Modern market. You can do like mini buyouts here and there because while those cards take a little time to just, get back onto the market, you'll see, relatively, I'd call it almost violent price swings for some of this Modern stuff. And, if you can pick up something that you believe for Modern is going to end up being much rare, or you feel like the supply of these cards is so low that eventually price is just going to go up for a lot of this Modern stuff and never really actually retrace, then I would say also go after the Modern. But it's just going to be on that the card basis for you. But, the Modern market, if you want it and you had, it doesn't take much money to manipulate the Modern market. I'll tell you that much. Now, when it comes to the vintage market, it's hard to like corner certain cards because a lot of these cards are in collectors' hands, are hard to just source them to begin with. So it's really hard to get your, finger on the pulse of how many of these cards exist. But for Modern, if you have $10,000, you can buy up a lot of cards. Like maybe not a lot, but like single cards, you can really corner the market for even something like Modern. Because again, the Pokemon market we live in is just very, very highly manipulated market. And, especially Modern is probably one of the best examples of like that happening. And you see it all the time. You could go on TCG Player, and if you get familiar with looking at charts, you can more or less just put your finger on it and you go, that's where the buyout happened. And then you see it. Usually what happens is you get the buyout, you'll get a huge run up on price, and then eventually, once more of those cards start to hit the market, you'll start to see that price retrace until eventually it gets back to some sort of like stability price. But most of the time, that stability price is usually higher than where the buyout happened. Now, this is not 100% across the board, but there's a lot of examples where that exact situation happens. And if you are buying huge positions in these Modern cards with that flippability, if you start to see these crazy price increases and then overnight your card you bought out goes 30, 40, 60%, then like you can sell some of those cards and make nice little gains if that's the market you're dabbling in. Jade Rabbit said, any thoughts on Mace's newest tinfoil hat theory on the next Pokemon set? I didn't see his video. I'm sorry. If Mason, you're out there, man, I apologize. Let's see. Johnny Bongo said, PK, which Modern promo is best to invest in under $150 under $50? I would say this one is up there. So when it comes to Modern promos that are under $50 that probably have like a decent trajectory is this thing. You can pick these up sealed for $2, sometimes less, but this is badass Mewtwo artwork. It's still an alt-art Mewtwo. You look at what the Mewtwo from even like Pokemon Go is doing. Pokemon Go being a weak set, even that Mewtwo from Pokemon Go is still like a $40 card in a PSA 10. So this one, you can pick it up for $2. Like, What's the downside risk at $2? Like, let's say you lose 50% of your money, which on a card like this, I don't really see that being like a huge possibility. But let's say you lose 50% of your money. So now you have an alt-art Mewtwo that's worth $1. And not bad. Like, I don't hate that. That's not like worst case end of the world. Now, you pick this card up at $2 and then given 2-3 years timeline, 151 goes out of print, UPCs are no longer available, UPCs are no longer being picked up, this card goes to $4, you made 100%, and $4 for a card like this might actually be on the low end. This could be a $10 card in the future. You could say, well, PK, well, there's two promos in the 151 UPC. You got the Mew, and you got the Mewtwo. Well, why the Mewtwo? Well, it's so much cheaper. Well, give me examples of other promos that have done well. It's like, well, look at what even like the Stained Glass Bird trio from Hidden Fates is still doing to this day. I mean, yeah. So to answer your question, PK, which modern promo is best to invest in under $50? I would say that this Mewtwo is, if you could pick it up at $2 or less, buy them up. And if you got $200 sitting around, buy 100 of them. Like, I mean, that 151 UPC MSRP is $119.99. So just round it up. Say $200. Buy yourself 100 Mewtwo promos sealed. Get them sealed. Don't get them open. I don't really know why people open sealed promos to begin with just to sell them raw, but get them sealed. If you get lucky, maybe a couple of them are gradable. If they're not, then you sell them sealed in the future. But for $2 or less, I think that's right now the best modern promo to invest in under $50. Jade Rabbit said, Pikachu with a gray felt hat is next Moonbrown. Prove me wrong. Hey, man. Go for it. Honestly, it's already, like, pretty close. Sleep, Eat, Breathe Music said, question, why don't you have an OG PK Pokemon Last Supper poster in your display? Well, let me see. I don't have the old school PK Last Supper in my display, but it is my mouse pad. So every live that I do, my keyboard sits on this and then my mouse sits on this. This is the original OG PK Last Supper. So, yes. While, no, I do not have it up in my display, it does sit in front of me every single day, and I do look at it. So, and it is awesome artwork. And it's a beautiful, I guess you could technically call it a playmat, but it's like a cheaper one. I wouldn't really call it a great playmat. All right. Back to the chat. Ooh, we got Basic Trainer in the house. Good to see you, Basic Trainer. Cheesy said, do you think Chinese Alola Friends is going to break Pokemon? Break it? No. I think it's too niche of a market. I think you would be very surprised if you even had a bunch of people in a room, especially even Pokemon fans, and you asked them if they even knew what Chinese cards were. They'd probably tell you no. So, but that's one of the reasons I like that market. But to say that card's going to break Pokemon, no, absolutely not. For the meantime, there'll be no Chinese card that breaks the Pokemon market. The only cards that like could potentially break the market in the future are a lot of these like high-end full art Chinese trophy cards. We've seen a couple of them already come out, especially like super exclusive Chinese trophy cards. If they ever get to the point where like they start to hit 5-figure sales, because there are super limited releases for some of these trophy cards, to be honest with you, there's probably a lot of people watching this video and being like, I can't name one Chinese trophy card. And to be honest with you, like, that's, for right now, that's probably a good thing. If you're investing in the Chinese market, you don't want people to know what those trophy cards are just yet. But if you get to a point where one of those cards finally does crack like 5 figures, so $10,000 plus, and then it actually gets some eyes on that card, and people are going to be like, wait, this card exists in Chinese? This card sold for how much? This card has how little of a population? You need that to happen. So, I think that would be the first thing to break Pokemon, but I think we're still a ways away from that happening. If it ever happens, nothing's a guarantee. Let's see. So Shadow Matt said, "Enjoy those little moments, PK. They are priceless." I think he's talking about like, yeah, how I help my son fall asleep every night. Every day I try to like really go out of my way to just have like a great day with my kids. Because I work like, I guess my job is technically very stressful at work, but I like it because I'm used to like, fast paced, high pressure environments. So like those are the environments I thrive at work. A lot of people I think have types of jobs like that, like they probably don't like. They don't want that high pressure, high pace, like go go go. Everything is always late. Everything always has to be done yesterday kind of mindset. Like, one day you don't know what you're doing. The next day, like, I'll give you an example. Last night, 5:30 p.m., my manager gave me a call. Yes, I still have a manager at my job. He gave me a call. I had to do like emergency thing first thing in the morning. I was out of my house by 5:15 a.m. this morning to get to work in order to just like make the client happy, because at the end of the day, clients are the number one priority. So, I mean, most of the time, I don't start my day at the office till 7 a.m. So, in order to have to be out of my house by 5:15, like it's only about a 30-minute drive to my work. So, that's a substantial difference. But sometimes you just got to do what you got to do to make the client happy. So, uh, when I come home sometimes, like I'm stressed out sometimes after a long day and you just kind of want to like hop in the shower and just relax. But I always go out of my way to like make sure that I just spend time with my kids, and, I'll get on the floor with them. We'll play cars, we'll play trucks. Ironically, I give him all my energy cards. He loves the energy cards because he'll like, here's a fire one, but he's like, and we'll go through all the colors. He's like red, and then we'll like throw the cards. There's always a million energy cards, and then me and my wife will clean them up at the end of the night. But then I'll take them outside, and I have the swing set out back that I built. I don't know if you guys remember. I talked about building it, and then we'll go on the swing set. I'll push him in the swing, try to spend time with the baby, but there's only so many hours and so many days. But yeah, man, I definitely go above and beyond, and I try my very best to like spend as much time and to do just what Shadow Matt said, is enjoy the little moments, and I try to enjoy them all the time. And they're great too. And my 2-year-old, he's getting to the point where he comprehends everything, and his speech is getting to that point. Just tonight we were doing flashcards upstairs. Like we did like vehicle flashcards, and it's just wild. Like he knows every single one of them, but like maybe he can't just say it yet. But yeah, dude, you gotta appreciate the little things, definitely. Pokey Snipe said, "Speaking of the Squirtle promo, how long does it typically take to get responses back from Pokemon Center? It's been over a month now." Did you not get a Squirtle promo, but you pre-ordered the 151 UPCs? Then yeah, I feel like they're just ignoring you at this point, because even with the crazy hype that was going on with the Pikachu and a gray felt hat promo, I did get all my responses back from Pokemon Center support. Ironically, my responses I got back included my FedEx tracking number that had already showed those cards being delivered to my house. So that was how long it took them to get back to me. I complained to Pokemon Center support. I had an open ticket. They had already like made it good again. They sent all the promos out, individual orders, and then got them. Days later, I got that Pokemon Center support ticket. So it takes a while, but yeah, that's a long time, Pokesnipes. You should probably reach out to him again. Labrat said, "No beers tonight." I haven't really been drinking beers lately. I've been doing a lot of spiked seltzers. That's my new thing. Uh, Danzard TCG, good to see you, buddy. So Danzard TCG said, "Are you bullish or bearish for the second half of Scarlet and Violet?" Right now, I'm hoping to be bullish, because I'm trying to just compare it to second halves of other sets. Go back to Sword and Shield. Second half of Sword and Shield, way better than first half of Sword and Shield. Go back to Sun and Moon. Definitely, like, second half of Sun and Moon, way better. Especially when you think about the last 4 sets with Team Up, Unbroken Bonds, Unified Minds, Cosmic Eclipse. Like, you look at those 4 sets, like, monsters. And then even in XY, when you start to think about the later sets, like, yeah, Evolutions was the last set, and then you had Steam Siege and Fates Collide. So like, where maybe those weren't probably like the best for end of XY, but Evolutions, when it was released, Evolutions was big. A lot of people loved Evolutions. The problem is Evolutions was just released in everything forever, so people got a little bit sick of it. But at the time, especially being the timeline, being 2016, and especially having Evolutions kind of just tie in with that Pokemon Go hype, Evolutions was just that great set. So it depends how you look at it. But yeah, I'm definitely like hopeful that Scarlet and Violet is going to do something crazy. And I think Pokemon is like one special release away from making something really special happen. Let's see. So Yamamoto said, "Oh, and PK, Ash's Green Ninja when Battle Bond activate is called Ash's Green Ninja." Okay, Battle Bond. Thank you, Yamamoto. I appreciate that. Let's see. Keep jumping to the bottom. Let's see. So Son of a Merc said Mason was trying to crack the code and relate the past sets to one another in an attempt to predict what the future sets of Scarlet and Violet will look like. Did he say anything about like team up type Pokemon? Will we see that? Because if you think about it, and yeah, this is tough though. I don't want to like get into it because I do want to watch Mason's video. So Brett said, "I think I'm just going to offload a bunch and work towards a base set booster box just because it actually means something to me. Only so much product a person can hoard that means nothing to them." So, Brett, you bring up a good point at the end. It's like you can only hoard so much product that doesn't mean anything to you. And I always talk about this when it comes to like the actual pure collecting. Ignoring investing, ignoring flipping, anything like that when it comes to like pure collecting. I always talk about this as having like collection identity. And what I mean by that collection identity is you start to look at your collection and you start to look at everything you have and you start to not care about it. Maybe you don't have a passion about the things you're collecting and you lose that collection identity. Then that's the point where you should just look at what you have, maybe sell some of the stuff that you don't really care about and start to really, really focus on the things that you do care about, because at the end of the day, your collection only should matter to one person. That one person is you. So as long as you go home and you look at your collection and it makes you happy, you don't have to worry about what anyone else thinks. But if you start to find that thing at the end where, you know, you only have so much stuff that a person can hoard that means nothing to them, well, get rid of the stuff maybe you're hoarding a little bit. And yeah, if you're a collector, go after that base set booster box. Go for it. Like, when you talk about one of the products in this hobby that, in my opinion, is going to be around and will have demand for forever, is a base set booster box. Now, will we ever see base set booster boxes, you know, get back up to their peaks, which was $30,000? Maybe, sure, given enough time. Like, there's a lot of booster boxes that exist out there. I mean, I personally could probably source a couple hundred base set booster boxes easily. You know, just making a couple phone calls, but again, that would involve getting it out of some people's hands. But if you truly care about it, go for it, man. Like, collect what makes you happy. That's all that matters. If it makes you happy, tell everybody else to go screw themselves, man. It's all about what makes you happy. Chef954 said, "How long was the turnaround time from mail, grade to auction with the Z&G Emporium?" So, same week. So, I sent them cards because they're already, like I told you, they're already in the penny sleeve. They're already in the card saver ones. So from the time he got those cards, they were submitted to Beckett and shipped within the same week. So I don't know if he still has those sort of turnaround times, but when I did that from him, yeah, it was the same turnaround times. Now, getting back from Beckett, it took a couple months because it was the cheapest rate. Like, when you go black label playing on the cheapest possible cards you can send, it's whatever the cheapest option is. So... But, Aaron said, "No deal's good enough for him to make a TikTok account." Haha, yeah. I've always thought about, like, making a TikTok account and just doing, like, you know, I do all, like, my joke resealed packs and stuff, and I was just like, I wonder if you just did a TikTok account where you just pull the chase every single video. Like, could you become TikTok famous because you're only ever opening like the best pull, and you don't even have to like, you could just repack that. Is that how easy TikTok is? I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't watch any like really Pokemon TikTok content. Once in a while I'll watch like the Instagram Reels and stuff. Or you can just do like fake TikTok stuff. You could go take a freaking Rubbermaid folding table, put it in your front yard in front of your garage, put a bunch of lamps and newspapers and stuff around it and go, I found this box of rare Pokemon cards at a tag sale. Let's see what it's worth. And you open it up and it's literally like every single one of your best non-graded Pokemon cards. And then you get like a person to sell you that box and it's like, how much you want for it? I'll take $5 for the whole box. And then you do the little animated voice. Was this a good buy? Question mark. And then just let the chat do what the chat does best. Oh my God, like, that's such a good deal. You're so lucky. And it's just, I feel like that's what TikTok is, though. It's just making like fake opening videos, fake, I don't know. I don't really believe any of those yard sale videos. That's one of the reasons like I say that, because I've seen like some people multiple times make the same video. My mom found my childhood collection, and then you go on their like short reel and it's just, my mom found my childhood collection, my mom found my childhood collection, my mom found my childhood collection. It's like, okay, I get it, I see what this guy's doing. So I feel like that's a lot of TikTok, is just, my mom found my childhood collection for the 13th time this month. So Son of a Merc said, what product were the other OG starter promos in? What do you mean by that? Other starter promos in? What product were the... I don't know what that question means. What? Did I miss something? Ask that question again, Son of America. I don't think I understand. What product were the two other OG starter promos in? Not sure. Professor Oak said, killer set. Team Rocket return is yes, definitely. Shadowless Max said, I hope we get those dark Pokemon back someday, or even a gym challenge type of cards. Gym challenge would be awesome, man. I would love to see trainers with their Pokemon. I'll give you an example. Lieutenant Surge had a character rare card in Cosmic Eclipse, but it was Lieutenant Surge with Magnemite. I need to see a Lieutenant Surge with a Raichu. Come on, Pokemon. Lieutenant Surge's Raichu. It's not Lieutenant Surge's Magneton. If you're going to give me a character rare card, you give me Lieutenant Surge with the best Pokemon that ever existed. Out of all Pokemon, it's not really up for debate. Scientifically proven. By a laboratory. I heard the number was 1 trillion people were, like, asked. Everybody agreed Raichu was the best Pokemon. Listen, don't get mad at me. This is just what I've heard. Fatbelly Collect says, question, will pack art sets hold more value than just random packs? Sure. Yeah. I guess. That's a pretty random question. But yeah, I would say pack art sets would always hold a premium, because even on eBay right now, that's actually like a way to sell packs. Type in Cosmic Eclipse single pack. Then type in Cosmic Eclipse pack art set. And look at what they sell for, and you would be very surprised. Like, I bet you could find sales today of a single pack of Cosmic Eclipse and then see a sale for an art set, and you'd be like, holy cow, PK's right. Art sets do sell for more. So, Fatbelly Collects, you're probably on to something right there. Lunatic said, oh yeah, call it a PK Live. Appreciate you, Lunatic. Jade Rabbit says, Pokemon is where that you can spend 10,000 on one card or 10,000 on 25,000 cards. I'd rather have 10 $1,000 cards versus 25,000 cheap cards. Easier to move 10. Yeah. I mean, that's what you're just talking about, like the bulk route. And that's the thing. There's a reason why you can make a lot of money in bulk. It's a lot of work. Like, the amount of, like, you can pick up bulk, especially if you're like a bulk buyer. You just put out your Facebook ads or Craigslist ads or even on YouTube and just buy in bulk a penny or buy in bulk at a cent and a half, and people will send you their bulk, you know. they'll send you that 2,500 bulk in order to get $25, just because that's the way it goes. And then that 2,500 bulk you get, you could start to really break it down, and there will be a lot of like 10-cent cards, 40-cent cards. You'll get that couple playable cards that are $1 plus, and there's huge margins there. The problem is that is the absolute grind. And for the people out there that do it, more power to you. That's not something I want to get in. But yeah, when you say it's easier to move 10 $1,000 cards versus like 25,000 cheap cards, definitely. It's a lot of work. Like I said, the people doing the bulk grind, I got all the respect in the world for it. That's just not for me. I don't have the time either. Like when Nick Old School Pokemon was doing that before he got real heavy into the eBay Live game, like crazy. What Rusty used to do back in the day, I mean, when Rusty was still having 10,000 plus active listings on his eBay, and a lot of those being bulk cards, and you might have had 10,000 active listings, but a lot of the quantities on a lot of those listings were 10 plus when he was breaking down tons of booster boxes. Like for guys like that were doing that, whew, more power to you, just not for me. Let's see. Pokey TCG man said random, but I think the boom of 2020 was nothing compared to what's coming in the future of Pokemon. What do you think? I hope that's correct. You know, the thing about 2020 is it was a combination of a lot of things. I think a lot of people were aging into Pokemon, and I know you hear that sentence, people aging into Pokemon. It might sound counterintuitive because people used to age out of Pokemon, but the thing is when you get to a certain age, like, you stop caring what other people think. Like, maybe when you're in high school and you're collecting Pokemon, maybe you would feel a little awkward telling your friends you were super into Pokemon, but when you get older, you don't care what other people think. So then you're able to age into Pokemon, and you just do it because you love to do it, and then you have more expendable income and all this stuff. So I think a lot of people got to that aged into Pokemon around that 2020. I think the shutdowns, the lock-ins, the pandemic helped out a lot. Everybody was stayed at home. Everybody rediscovered like what they loved as a child, because usually that like big nostalgia factor of like whatever you enjoyed as a kid is usually going to help you when you get older. So yeah, I could definitely see that. But then in the future, you can see another catalyst. Yeah. To be honest with you, it just takes one big influencer to get into Pokemon. And I'm going to guess the biggest influencer right now in the world is probably like Taylor Swift. Because I watch football. Travis Kelce, Kansas City Chiefs. You can't watch a freaking Kansas City Chiefs game without seeing Taylor Swift put up on the screen 27 times throughout that game. But I've seen what she does. Like, she talks about anything. Like, there's an entire group of her fans just cling on to it. If Pokemon ever had a scenario in which freaking Taylor Swift sits down with Travis Kelce and they open up a first edition base set pack of first edition base set booster box of Pokemon, the amount of dumb money, sorry, I don't mean to say that, but I do mean it. The amount of dumb money that would enter into this hobby overnight would be science fiction type numbers. It would crush this market. Like, we look at some of the pop reports of some of this modern graded stuff, and you look at the stuff that maybe you have on your eBay that's maybe not moving, that it would be 2020 but on craziness. That's just one example of one person. I think there's a couple people with like that real high following that could just dump a lot of dumb money into this hobby. And I think with the Logan Paul, not to shit on anybody that entered in 2020, but there was a lot of dumb money that happened in 2020. There was also a lot of smart money that entered 2020. I think a lot of the people watching this definitely fall in the latter, that smarter money. But we saw the dumb money. We saw the first edition base set Jungle Pikachus and Eevees hit $1,000+. We saw that happen. We saw people spending $1,000+ on light play, non-graded, unlimited base set Charizards, that after grading probably hit 5s. We saw some of those real beat up copies sell for $1,000+ in the boom. That was dumb money, in my opinion. Like, those are examples, but you had a lot of smart money. And then even when all the craziness fades and all the hype dies down a little bit, you still have like this huge collector base and new investor base that's left in this hobby. So it has great long running effects. So if you ever had something like that, then I could put a lot of validity to your comment where you say you think that 2020 was nothing compared to what's coming in the future of Pokemon. You could be right. And maybe it doesn't even have to be that sort of like X factor, huge influencer coming to the hobby. It could be a million different like catalysts that happen again. I just pray that it's not another freaking lockdown that happens, because I don't think lockdowns were good for anybody. James from Alamo City said, which Scarlet and Violet set do you think will have higher profitability long term, Paldea Evolved or Paradox Rift? I would say probably I'm leaning towards Paldea Evolved. Paradox Rift, a lot of people love it. I keep looking at it, man. I'm not about Paradox Rift, so I would, if I had to choose one of the two, I would say Paldea Evolved for sure. Andy on Guam said, Gold Pokeslav Burger Beans, boys. I'm thinking he's talking about the gold Burger King promos from 99. Listen, I've always made the joke, if PSA starts grading gold Charizard like cards from Burger King from 99, the second those things go in plastic, there's all like the couple different gold cards, people would lose their mind. You would see like a mini boom happen in those things if a grading card company would start grading them. I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possible. And if that happens, then your Burger King comment might have a lot of validity to it, which sounds ridiculous to think about. Fresh Tat says, how low was Armored Mewtwo? Like $5. It never really dropped below that. Those boxes, the lunchbox tins that the Armored Mewtwo's came in, were never really like cheap either. So because the tins themselves weren't cheap, the promos really never got that cheap. Even $5 might, that's probably about right. Son of a Merc said 31 minutes, keep them going. Oh my god, I just looked over them. 56 minutes and I got to your 31 minute mark. The Lunatic said, I picked up 70 Snorlax promos for 50 cents a pop. Okay, so you got the Snorlax promos from the 151 UPCs. If you like Snorlax, that's a good buy too. I'm leaning towards a Mewtwo, but any sort of ETB promo for 50 cents. I mean, I don't want to like go off screen, but I have so many of the Gold Star Greninjas from the Celebrations UPCs. I just was picking those things up in bulk too. I was picking them up like at $5, picking them up at $4, picking them up at $3, picking them up at $2. Just kept picking them up, trying to get grade-worthy copies. That's one of the big downfalls of the Green Ninja Gold Star from Celebration. It was a real tough 10. Like, trust me, I tried. It was a tough 10. Fresh Tat said, PK, do you have a base set Charizard and Arms Reach? That's base Charizard right there. That's my childhood Charizard right there, right behind that the G.I. Joe pack in the blister. So I guess technically the base set Charizard is not in Arms Reach, but it's definitely in Rolling Reach. If I just push this chair back, I could reach it. Joel said, do you have a favorite Shining Pokemon? Of course I got a favorite Shining Pokemon, Shining Raichu from Neo Destiny. That's an easy question. Next question. There's only one answer to that question, too. Everyone knows the best Shining Pokemon is Raichu. Yamamoto said that Last Supper mat should be PK merch. I would buy that. Booster Boys card said that Victini promo is a pretty penny. Which Victini promo are you talking about? Chef954 said, heard fast-paced and stress, LL. Yeah, well, Chef is a cook, so he would know what fast-paced and stressful is like. Yeah, I mean, what I do, I think is stressful, but I've seen, like, people in kitchens, and kitchens are probably way more stressful than my job. It's like madness for you guys. even like when you're at a restaurant, and usually like the restaurants will have like the swinging doors, so the doors open from both ends, and you kind of just like, the waitresses will push through the doors if they're carrying trays. There's no handles or anything. And when you're sitting close to the kitchen, and when that door swings back and forth, you can like just hear the yelling going on inside the kitchen. So yes, Chef 954, I could definitely imagine you have a super, super stressful job. Bearski, good to see you, my old friend. Bearski's one of the good ones. If you guys are not subscribed to Bearski's channel, give him a subscribe. I know he's starting his own weekly podcast series. I think he's had two good guests on. He's had Brad G. Cards was his last live, and then the live before that was Mr. Walrus. Both lives, super great. Bearski collects it. He's on my live too. If you want to go back, watch that video, get to know him, a little bit of his backstory. Great dude. Got to meet him down at the Charlotte Collecticon. He's definitely one of the good ones for sure. XP said, hold or sell my PSA 10 151 UPC Squirtle promo. Sell it. If you hit a 10, I'd say sell it. You could do a lot with that money. That's wild that you hit the 10. I got one that I think I could grade. I haven't sent it away yet. I jumped to the bottom. Let's see. I went for an hour. I'm gonna keep trying to go a little quicker. Science Guy 87 said, PK, do you think the Pika with the gray felt hat promo could perform like the Scream Pika promos? Not one-to-one. Like, they could definitely have great run-ups, but different releases, different markets, different timeline. Now, could they perform well? Yes, definitely. But Scream Pikas? No. I don't think they'll ever be able to have a straight one-to-one. And they'll never perform exactly the same. And it's just, a lot of that's population, just how many people are aware of them. And it's just, to be honest with you, the thing about Scream Pikas that helps out a lot is the people that might have wanted those cards, the sad truth is they might not have been in the hobby yet. The thing about the Pikachu and a gray felt hat promo is the people that wanted them were in the hobby, so they had them. So, and if they wanted them, they probably didn't just stop at one, too. They probably got multiple. So, no, I don't think they'll ever perform like the Scream Pikas. They'll perform well, but not exactly like the Screams. Yamamoto said, e-readers greater than base set. I actually agree with that. Base set gives me the nostalgia feels because that original 102 cards in that base set, and then, plus Jungle and plus Fossil, like, they hit, but the e-readers are just, I love that rarity. I love that scarcity factor to them. Professor Oak said, we need a Cabal TikTok account. Yes. Let's see. Peak That Chew said, okay, I just finished the new Coffee Talk podcast at Pokéknowledge Cards. PK, have you watched it? Absolute bonus dropped. I can't even begin to say what some of the stuff they shared. I have not watched it yet. I'll have to watch it, especially if they talk about the pre-release ride show. Jade Rabbit said, that's an awesome idea. Have a Dark Energy graded by CGC passed around and signed by all the Cabal with a $20 donation to any charity. See, that's it. I don't have any graded Dark Energies. I have 2 water 8.5s, and then the only other 8.5 Expedition Purple Energy that exists in the world is right there in that frame. But we should do that. Let's see. Chef 954 said, Nick's eBay Live game is stellar. Love him and love seeing him live. His best life on there. The eBay Lives are awesome, yeah. Nick's really going hard with that, too. The eBay Live. And, I don't know. eBay did it right at the beginning. They only brought on trusted sellers. Anybody can't sell on eBay right now. I think they're working out a lot of like the kinks in the system. I know some of the kinks Nick was talking about. I think he was pretty public with it on the PokeFlips podcast, is that he wasn't really able to ban people at a certain time. So because he wasn't able to ban people, like he was having a little trouble because people just kept buying up all his auctions because I don't know. I guess people just don't have any, like, people aren't busy. They just have a ton of free time where they could just destroy auctions for people. But I think eBay's finally worked out that kink for them, so it's helped out a lot. But I think when eBay does work out all these little issues that they're having, and then the actual eBay Live product is much better, I think you'll see like the seller pool vastly increase. But I'm also interested to see what's going on with the TikTok platform. Like TikTok's dumping a ton of money in there. I mean, shout out to Pokemon Radar John. I know John's working at TikTok. They brought him on. I'm not really sure what his role is at TikTok, but I know TikTok's got big plans for Pokemon. I don't know. Maybe I should get on TikTok because it does seem like to be the future in a little bit of a way, but I just got my YouTube's so easy. But one of the things I did think to do is just all my lives, all my podcasts that I have is maybe I'll just start cutting up clips and doing like 30-second clips from a podcast or from a live, because at that point I can make content for ever. Like my content at that point would never run out if I was just clipping 30-second, of me speaking. Just this video I'm talking for an hour and 4 minutes. So, yeah. Damn 90 said, I think I got to the Taylor Swift comment. He said, hopefully there's no event like that in the future, like what happened in 2020. Haha. Let's see. Professor Oak said Taylor Swift used Swift attack. Yeah. Let's see. A lot of I guess we got a lot of Swifties in the chat right now. Who would have knew? So Mick Nick said, PK, what are some of the Pokemon you would like to see get an art rare that haven't got one yet? Ooh, that's a good question. I would like to, ooh, that's a good question. Pokemon who haven't had an art rare that I would like to see. Maybe give some love to like, maybe if we could do art rares, I guess it would be like kind of, I guess it's not really an art rare, but I would like to see more like a team up style art rares where you have like, each starter from the different gens. So like you got all your Gen 1 starters on one card, your Gen 2s, your Gen 3s, Gen 4, and like that would be a pretty cool, because I feel like some of like the early evolutions don't really get them. Like there hasn't been a Torchic character rare card. There hasn't been a Mudkip character rare card yet. I want to say like there hasn't been a Trico yet either, and like that's just Gen 3. So like I don't know, maybe just some of the original, starter Pokemon, because for most people, they played the games. Now, which game you played, everybody probably has like some sort of nostalgia factor to some of these early starter Pokemon. So for those Pokemon to get character rare cards, I think that would be a good one. I feel like if I thought through this question a little bit longer, I could probably come up with something that's a little bit better answer than that. So Sir Fisticuff says, what Sword and Shield booster box are a good pickup this Black Friday, or do we go for some very cheap Scarlet and Violet sets? Honestly, if you're going Sword and Shield and you still have holes in your collection, now's the time to buy. Sword and Shield is just going to probably go up in the future. Scarlet and Violet, I think you have time. I think that's the one word that defines that answer, is just time. You have time with Scarlet and Violet. Your time's running out for Sword and Shield. So if there's any holes you're filling in for your collection, then I would say then do Sword and Shield for this Black Friday. How long are these Scarlet and Violet booster boxes going to stay in stock? I don't know, but it could be for a while. And even if it's not for a while, by the time they do start to increase in price, you'll probably see a lot of the indicators for those booster boxes creeping up. So yeah, maybe you lose out, you don't get them at $80, but maybe you see all the trends coming up. You're like, okay, I'll pull the trigger at 90, I'll pull the trigger at 95, I'll pull it at 100 or 105 or whatever price point you start to see that market change. Yeah, you could have bought it at 80, you bought it at 100, so maybe you lose out on 25% gains, but that's a booster. I mean, what's $100? It's all about time and stuff. Oh man, you guys aren't letting me get to the bottom. I love all the Swifties in the chat. You guys are funny. So Phantom X Mod says, "Why is everyone collecting Pokemon when there's Metazoo available?" Is this Basic Trainers alt account? Is Phantom X Mods? Okay, Basic. We see you. We see you out there. Uh, let's see. All right. I think I made it close enough to the bottom. I didn't really see any more questions. But yeah, guys. Try to go for 30 minutes. I made it an hour. I let the chat dictate. Were we going to do the drama? Were we not going to do the drama? We got lucky. We made it through this entire video. Nobody brought up drama, and I appreciate you guys for doing that. And as always, I only ask for two things. One, if you haven't liked this video yet, do me a favor. Smash that like button. It helps push it out to the YouTube, through the YouTube algorithm. If you don't like this video, do me a favor. Also hit that dislike button, because any engagement on these videos helps out a lot. The dislike button, I think, might help out greater than the like button. I know that sounds crazy, but it is what it is. I don't care which one of you hit. Just hit one of those buttons. And if you're new to this channel and you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. But yeah, with that said, as always, guys, I appreciate every single one of you, and I'll catch you on the next video.